Hello and welcome to Discount Storytime, literature's finest dumpster fire. This week's story is a continuation of The Adventures of Freddy Cat from 2 episodes ago, titled Freddy and the Cabin, or Freddy Cat and the Cabin. Enjoy!
This is the story of Freddy Cat. You could recognize Freddy anywhere because he had a distinctive marking on his head. His white face had a black line that curved around his left eye and dropped down, which looked like a question mark with his little cat nose for the dot. You could also recognize Freddy because, unlike most other cats, he had 3 little kittens along with him. They were Terrence, a gray tabby that was larger and stronger than the other 2, Trent, a yellowish mix with enormous eyes, a little newsboy cap, and a charming smile, and Petite Darby, a bookish orange tabby. Freddy had rescued these orphan kittens from the town of Bramble, and they were off adventuring together. And by adventuring, I mean wandering around aimlessly. While out wandering one day, Freddy was finishing the day's lesson. So, if you get caught with some, what do you say, man?
It's medicinal,
The kittens chimed in. Right on, man. Freddy smiled and held up his catnip card from the veterinarian. He gave 3 little kitten fist bumps, or more accurately, paw bumps. They traveled a little further on when Freddy saw an old rickety bridge over a fast-moving river. Hey, let's take this bridge, man. It'll be a shortcut.
Shortcut to where?
Asked Dobby. Freddy pointed across the river. The other side, little doodad. Terrence puffed out his chest and strode forward.
Hell yeah, bro. Let's do this.
But Trent and Darby had a bad feeling about this bridge, which looked like it would collapse into the rapids any moment. They quickly grabbed eager Terrence and backed up. Freddy, experienced in the waves of the world, smiled confidently. Don't worry, I've crossed a lot of bridges, man, and they're almost always usually safe and, whatnot.
Almost usually safe?
Darby asked with a raised eyebrow.
You're being careless, Freddy.
Nah, Darbs, check me out, man, I'll prove it. Freddy swaggered confidently onto the bridge and ignored the rotten wooden planks falling to the swift current below him. Darby covered her eyes and says,
Freddy, please be careful.
Freddy shouted back over the rushing torrent beneath him, Easy peasy lemon. The rushing current instantly swept Freddy Cat away. He yelled, Stay there, little amigos. I'm just taking this river for a test drive and whatnot. I'll be right back, man. And he was swept out of sight. The kittens looked at each other with wide eyes. After a moment, Terrence blew out his cheeks and said,
Well, let's go save his ass.
Darby and Trent nodded, and the 3 little kittens hiked along the river to save Freddy. Freddy finally got free of the current and climbed onto the riverbank. He looked back and couldn't even see the old bridge, for he had been pulled very far downstream. Not cool, man. I hope my little buddies are okay without my guidance and whatnot. Freddy mumbled and shook out his fur. Freddy checked himself for injuries and sighed in relief. He had passed several jagged rocks, but luckily his rucksack took the brunt of the scrapes and blows. Freddy was squeezing water out of his socks when he heard the most beautiful song. He froze in a trance. Who was making that beautiful music? His brain became even foggier than Freddy's usual and could only focus on the music. He grabbed his rucksack and hurried down a path into the dense woods, carried on by each musical note. An hour later, he broke through dense brush to find a neat little cabin in an open meadow. The air cooled and Freddy shivered. Then he saw smoke from the chimney and smelled all of his favorite foods: pizza, popcorn, hamburger, fries, meat pie, and so on. Freddy's stomach rumbled. He never bragged about it, but Freddy had a very healthy appetite. His lifestyle left him especially hungry in the late evenings. The music stopped, and a soft female voice came from the cabin. Are you hungry, sweetie? Freddy gulped and answered dully, Uh-huh. The cabin door opened and out stepped the most gorgeous cat Freddy had ever seen. She wore a raspberry beret and a short red dress. Her gray fur was smooth and shiny, not like Freddy's rough fur and question mark face. She had large emerald eyes and smiled at him with perfect white teeth. Freddy smiled back with his goofy snaggled maw. "Well, don't just stand there, sugar. It's getting cold out. Come inside and warm yourself and have a meal. I'm sure I've got something you want." She winked at him, swished her tail and hips, and slipped back inside the cabin. The girl cat's perfume sailed upon the evening air and into Freddy's nose. His eyes closed to focus on every particle. Then he followed the perfume trail into the cabin, so captivated he didn't notice the cabin door close by itself behind him. The kittens walked for hours before finding a much better bridge to cross. Little Darby did her best to keep up with Trent and Terrence, but eventually her legs gave out. Terrence lifted her onto his broad shoulders. This also gave Darby a chance to watch for signs of Freddy. After a while, she pointed and yelled, "Look at that!" Trent, who was the fastest, raced ahead and dug through a small pile on the ground. The others caught up and gasped. In the pile of chip bags and candy wrappers was one of Freddy's shoes, Vans decorated with clusters of white flowers with purple dots. Next to it was a wet sock, but no Freddy. They searched until Terrence saw something near a trailhead. "Look!" He reached his paw down and touched a mound of leaves, stems, and white flowers with purple dots. "Catnip!" "Freddy!" they cheered. "But where is he?" The kittens called out, "Freddy! Freddy!" But no reply. Terrence studied the pile of catnip and stepped down a trail. "Look, brah, the catnip continues down this trail." Trent asked, Why would Freddy do that?" Darby said, "Maybe he was throwing out his catnip so he could find his way back." Trent scratched his head. "Back from what? And would Freddy ever throw out his catnip?" Terrence shook his head. "No, brah, he wouldn't. And why would he leave a show and sock if he was hiking down a trail? This doesn't make sense." Darby thought for a moment. "What if Freddy didn't know he was leaving a trail of catnip? What if his rucksack was cut by the jagged rocks in the river and catnip spilled out?" Her little chin quivered. "What if Freddy got hurt?" Trent looked down the trail. "The catnip trail keeps going. Let's follow him. Freddy's in trouble." And as the evening sun sank, the kittens headed down the darkening trail to find their Freddy. Freddy entered the cabin and thought he had gone to Freddy heaven. The fire was warm, the smell of food and perfume made his head spin, and this girl cat swished about in her red dress with curves in all the right places. Your cabin's really nice, man. I'm Freddy, by the way, Freddy Cat." "Thank you, Shug. My name's Lydia. I live here all by myself, and so there's always so much food to eat for just me. I was about to have some ice cream. Would you like some? I have Ben & Jerry's. Let me guess, your favorite flavor?" "Half-baked." They laughed, and Lydia made Freddy a big bowl of ice cream. "Want some candy to put on top?" And she pointed to an entire wall of jars with Freddy's favorite candy. "Gummies, man!" Lydia smiled. "I thought you might like those, Shug." "So, Sugar Buns, what are you doing way out here in the forest?" Freddy spoke between spoonfuls of ice cream. "So I got separated from these three little kittens that are, well, like sort of mine now, I suppose." He looked out the window at the dark night and felt a chill, realizing his kittens were out there without him. Speaking of which, man, I thank you so much for the ice cream and whatnot, but I really should go find him. It's getting kind of dark out." Lydia took out a stuffed crust mac and cheese pizza out of a very, very large oven. So large she practically had to crawl into it. She had turned away from Freddy so he couldn't see the anger flash in her emerald eyes. "No!" she hissed, and Freddy jumped. I mean, I'm sure they're fine, Shug." She then put some strange herbs on his pizza slice. "But if you really must go, Please have this gooey, warm slice of pizza first. I'd hate for you to have to go out into the cold on an empty stomach, Freddy baby." A small corner of Freddy's mind rang an alarm bell. Unfortunately, the free pizza part of his mind was parading with air horns. Freddy gobbled the pizza slice, and his eyes grew cloudy and dull. Lydia cupped his chin in her paw and gently lifted his face. She gazed at him with her large emerald eyes. "Freddy, haven't you always lived here?" Freddy gazed into her eyes, and his own eyes dimmed. "Yeah, I mean, I think so, yeah. Yeah, man, yeah. I've always lived here with you. With you, Lydia. We've always lived here, man." He gave a snaggled smile as she ran a claw across his question mark face. "And with all this food and warmth and, me, why, there's never a reason to leave, is there, Freddy?" Freddy looked out the window, but she pulled him back into her gaze. "I said, there's never a reason to leave, is there?" Freddy frowned. No, wait, man. There is something. I have to find someone or whatnot." Lydia pulled him in and kissed his ears and nose, wafting her strange perfume over him. "No, there isn't, darling. There's only us." There was something about this cabin that Freddy noticed. Everything was perfect, from the warm fire to the constantly cooking food to the jars and jars of gummies. And Lydia, she was his type. Perfectly his type. Everything was too perfect. Then he heard kittens hissing and fighting from far away. "What was that, man?" Lydia stood over Freddy and stroked his ears. "Just the wind, darling. Now, let's try this again." She kissed him gently, and her breath smelled of mint and forgetfulness. "Is there ever a reason to leave?" Freddy smiled up at Lydia. No, there's never a reason to leave. I'll never leave you and whatnot, babe." The kittens were well down the trail when the dark of night made it nearly impossible to go further, even for a cat's adept eyes. They stopped, and Trent gathered wood for a campfire. Darby started setting up their tent. Terrence yelled,
"What are you doing, bro? You just giving up and going to bed for the night?"
"Yep," said an occupied Darby.
"It's too dark to go further. We're more likely to get hurt or worse, or get off the trail and get lost, and that won't do Freddy any good." "So you're quitting? You're giving up on Freddy? Typical Darby." Darby stopped and slowly turned to Terrence. Her cat eyes glowed in the dim moonlight. "And what does that mean?"
"It means you're doing what you always do, Dobbs. Nothing. Read books and make plans, but plans don't do anything. Your plans are just ways to make me and Trent do stuff, like you're the boss or something." Darby marched up to Terrence, and although she was much smaller than him, her fur stuck out and made her presence known.
"Who else would be the boss, Terrence? I'm the smartest."
Terrence puffed out his chest. "No, biggest is the boss. You need a strong leader." Darby poked his puffed chest.
"No, the smartest is the boss. You need a smart leader."
They glared at each other as Trent passed by with an armful of dry wood. He started building the campfire quietly. After all, this was between his two underlings. He was clearly the boss.
"Trent!"
Terrence and Darby yelled. "What? You don't have to yell. I'm right here."
Who's the boss?
Terrence sighed, not really wanting to get involved, but seeing no way out of it. "Terrence is the biggest and strongest. Darby's the smartest. But I'm the coolest. And the coolest is the boss. You need a charismatic leader." All hell broke loose among the three. The hissing and screeching could be heard for miles away, alerting every predator within earshot. After a full meal, or even meals, Freddy was worn out. He stretched and yawned. Lydia took him by the hand and helped him up, his now large furry tummy bumping the table.
"Oh, my dear, you have had such a long day. It's time for bed."
"Uh-huh. Yeah, sleepy, man." Freddy rubbed his eyes and reached into his rucksack for his stuffed rabbit, Captain Hop Hop. Something seemed off. His rucksack was, well, not empty, but certainly less full than before. And it seemed to Freddy he had kept baggies of something important in there, something quite dear to him, besides Captain Hop-Hop, of course. He pulled out a white flower with a purple dot. Oh, yeah, his stash, but where was the rest of it? The little alarm bell in the corner of his mind went bonkers, but the rest of Freddy's brain was too tired and told the alarm bell to quiet down. Lydia took the flower from him. A flower for me? How sweet, my darling. Come. It's bedtime. Her large emerald eyes stared into his. You are exhausted. You will go to sleep and forget about everything else. Whoa. Righteous, man, Freddy agreed dreamily. Lydia led Freddy to her bedroom. He was about to climb into her soft, large bed when she said, Tut, tut, silly Freddy. I made your bed especially for you. She showed him a cot in the corner. Don't you remember, darling? This is your bed. This has always been your bed. This is your favorite bed because it's so warm. She helped Freddy snuggle into the sleeping bag made of large strips of cheesecloth soaked in warm garlic butter. Freddy wrinkled his nose. What's that smell, man? Why, that's oregano and basil to help you sleep. Oh, and here, she tucked a bay leaf between Freddy and Captain Hop-Hop, for your dolly. Now, get a good night's sleep, love. Tomorrow is a busy day. Freddy yawned and asked, What's happening tomorrow, man? You're getting baked. Freddy thought those were the 3 most beautiful words he had ever heard and drifted off to sleep. Back at the camp, 3 angry kittens tossed and turned in their tent. They couldn't sleep, partially out of anger, but mostly they were worried about Freddy. Trent finally spoke. What if we can't find him? Who'll take care of us? I don't want to go back to Bramble, ever. Darby pulled her sleeping bag around herself. I'm not going back there, not ever. Terence thought for a long time and then said, We're not going back to Bramble. Screw those jerks. We'll find Freddy, or he'll find us. Besides, he sighed and looked at the other 2 in the dark tent. Do you know who's in charge? Trent and Darby groaned. Not this again. Terence sat up. No. Really? Do you know who's really in charge? Freddy? Nope. What? You? Nope. Oh! Terence's enormous face cracked a grin. Mr. Hop-Hop! For the first time since before the bridge, the 3 kittens laughed, and it felt good until... Darby whispered, They sound close. Trent whispered back, Yeah, let's try to keep quiet and get some sleep, eh? Yep. Good night, bros. Terence whispered, then curled down into his sleeping bag and felt for his Chekhov's brand ankle knife while the others fell asleep. The next morning, Freddy awoke with a splitting headache. He'd had hangovers before, but this was so much worse, and his muscles were all sore, and he couldn't move. You can't move, so don't even try. Lydia filled a pot with water using Kohler's Gray's single-handed wall-mount pot filler. This statement piece has a bold square base and a unique, strong silhouette. It's eye-catching on your counter and a design to complement most every home. By Kohler. Freddy looked around. He was no longer laying on his special garlic butter cot, but chained down to the large baking pan and laying on top of a squishy, mattress? Blanket? What is this? What's happening, my darling? Lydia stopped pouring and sashayed over to Freddy, stroking his face tenderly. You are going to help me. She grabbed a small bottle of powder and blew some into Freddy's face. I need you to help me make a very special recipe, Freddy. He coughed, then settled down. His eyes dimmed as he smiled. What is it, man? Today, I'm making a recipe my high priestess taught me. Strung out stromboli. It's not that hard to make, really. The tricky part is finding a strung out cat dumb enough to capture. And that's where you come in. Freddy's face wrinkled. You just want me to help you capture a dumb, strung-out cat, man? Lydia laughed.
Sure, sweetie. Sure. You just relax, darling. Now, where did I put that cleaver?
The kittens broke camp with the first rays of light and were about to set out on the trail when Trent said,
Where'd it go?
"What?" asked Darby, tucking away her sleeping bag.
The trail. The catnip trail.
They all rushed to the trail and gasped. All the catnip was gone.
The birds. I bet they ate the catnip,
moaned Terence in despair.
Great. I knew we should have kept going and whatnot, bruv.
Trent put a reassuring paw on Terence's shoulder.
It got too dark. We'd have gotten lost. Besides, I'm sure Darby will think of something.
Darby, eyes wide, noticed the two staring at her for answers.
Well, crap,
Terence snarled.
Come on. You're the smart one, bruv. Think of something. Now. Oi, don't yell at me. Just give me a minute.
Darby walked off to gather her thoughts.
Stupid birds. Why'd they have to eat the catnip?
And despite all that was going on, Darby's stomach grumbled.
And here, I don't have any breakfast left. And whatever that is, it smells so good.
That's when she noticed what she was sniffing. The delicious smell of sautéing onions, garlic, and peppers. She ran back to the others.
Do you smell that? Food. Someone's cooking. And where there's food, there's...
Freddy! They cried and followed their noses. Freddy and Lydia were having a grand time getting strung-out Stromboli ready for the oven. He sang Bob Marley and she winked and blew him kisses. But from time to time, that little alarm bell in the corner of Freddy's mind drowned out the music. Lydia seemed to know when this was happening and gave him flaming hot snackos, his favorite, but these were dusted with strange herbs.
We don't want to get you stressed and stringy now, do we?
Freddy giggled. No stringy, stressed Freddy, man. She stuffed the onions, garlic, peppers, sauce, and the rest of all the fixins around Freddy.
Now it's time to tuck you in, Freddy Snookums.
Freddy smiled and wrinkled his nose. Okay, babe. Is it sleepy time already, man?
Why, yes, sugar. Close your eyes, and soon it'll all be over.
She then carefully pulled strips of dough over Freddy's legs, belly, and chest. Freddy thought about what a perfect day it was. Just cooking with his love in the home they had always lived in. Lydia heaved and turned the pan around on a set of rollers leading to the large oven.
Goodbye, Freddy. See you at supper time.
Freddy looked at her with adoring eyes. See you at supper time, man. A large bang filled the room and the kittens burst in. They saw Freddy wrapped up in dough and being rolled into a large oven by a terrible creature. It was a cat, but just barely. It had matted green fur, its front paws were large and gnarled, and back paws replaced by cloven hooves. It glared at them with bulging red orbs and hissed through black fangs.
What? Who are you? Why are you disturbing me? Don't you know I cook to relax, damn it?
Freddy looked over and saw 3 little kittens, a large gray one, a small orange one, and a yellow one in a stylish newsboy cap. Something about them seemed familiar. Hey, man, are you here for supper? I hear it's gonna be delicious, man. Lydia, the witch, saw the kittens as an inconvenience, but also an opportunity. Sure, they may delay supper, but as soon as she caught them, they were just the right size for popcorn kitten tomorrow. Here, kitty, 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 she growled. Come here. I have some treats for you. Oh, try the gummies, man, Freddy added. Lydia grabbed a butcher knife and leapt at the kittens. Lydia was fast, but the kittens were faster and quickly scattered out of the way. Almost. Terence was strong but slow, and Lydia scratched him across the chest. Oh! He yelled. Fortunately, the scratch was minor, but clearly the switch was more dangerous than she looked, and she did look pretty dangerous. Freddy frowned. Hey, babe, don't like do that stuff, man. They're just little kittens, babe. Lydia hissed. Shut up. They are next on the menu. Freddy's mind buzzed. The alarm bells in the corner finally had everyone's attention. Kittens, menu, kittens, his kittens. Freddy shot up. Well, tried shooting up, then fell back. Terrence, Trent, Darby. Darby stopped to smile at Freddy, but it cost her. The witch slashed at her with a butcher's knife and cut her shoulder. Darby screamed in pain. Freddy couldn't move. He couldn't help them. It all reminded him of 2 episodes ago with the Death Ogre when they were in the cage. Freddy shouted, "Leave my kittens alone, man." Lydia cackled. "Oh, what, darling? What are you going to do about it, Freddy? Maybe I'll cook them with you." Hey, little amigos, man. Hey, do you still have some rope?" said Freddy. Trent quickly ran to Freddy. "Yeah, I do. Why?" "Well, remember 2 episodes ago how I used the rope to, like pull you up into safety and whatnot? Well, rope can also pull someone into danger, man." The 3 kittens heard that, and that was all they needed. Individually, they stood no chance against the witch, but they had spent their whole lives surviving as a team. Trent unwound the rope from his backpack, and the others kept Lydia busy as he tied the rope into a lasso. They nodded to him and drew the witch closer, but still at a striking range. Trent had to get this right. As the witch came near, he threw his lasso and... Perfect! It caught Lydia over the head and around her shoulders. He pulled the lasso tight and looped the rope around one of the many metal rollers to make a pulley. Terrence ran over and helped Trent pull her closer in front of the oven. At the same time, Darby ran to the large baking pan. A furious Lydia clawed at the rope but could not get purchase. She sat at the edge of the oven door and put her feet on the rollers for leverage. "You idiots! This won't stop me." "Oi, but this will," yelled Darby, and shoved the large Freddy pan down the rollers towards the oven door. It knocked Lydia backward into the oven. She scrambled to get out of the oven, and Trent tried slamming the door, but he was just a second too late. She had one hand out, and the oven door wouldn't shut. "I'll get you and eat you," Lydia bellowed and gave the middle claw. Trent pushed at the door with all his might, and with each push screamed, "Why does everyone want to eat us?" Terrence and Darby ran to his aid, and the 3 closed the oven door, and the screaming soon stopped. Lydia the witch was defeated, and the kittens helped Freddy out of the large pan. They explained how they followed his catnip trail and the wolves and the birds. "Thank you, little amigos. I would have been cooked without you," Freddy said and hugged the 3. Now that we're safe, how about a snack and whatnot, man? Maybe some flaming hot snackos? Freddy grabbed at the bag of his favorite chips, took a bite, and gagged. With Lydia's spell wearing off, he could see what he thought was flaming hot snackos were actually baby carrots. He spat out the carrot, and his eyes widened as he looked at all the food he had been enjoying. The Ben & Jerry's half-baked ice cream was actually low-fat, sugar-free sherbet. And the pizza? Oh, the pizza was made out of cauliflower and soy cheese. The gummies, oh man, those beautiful, delicious gummies were actually dried apricots. Health food. Not only had Lydia the witch tried to kill and cook Freddy, but she tricked him into eating health food. This is the story of 3 kittens, Terrence the Strong, Trent the Charming, and Darby the Clever. They went on many adventures with their adult cat, Freddy, who required their close supervision. The end.
I do have a bittersweet announcement to make today. I've gotten a consulting job, which is going really well in the nerd land I live when I'm not doing podcasts and writing. but it is taking up a lot of time, and I do not think I'm going to be able to continue Discount Story Time. Now, having said that, we're very close to episode 100. So what I am going to do is put together sort of a favorite hits over the next, let's see, this is 96, so next few episodes. And then I already have an idea for episode 100. So if you have one particular favorite that you would like to hear sort of rehashed or replayed, please click the link in the show notes and let me know, or email me at mail@discountstorytime.com. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. Until then, be sure to play nice with others, be super duper kind to yourself, and as always, remember to laugh. Bye. This story was performed by Larry Little, written and produced by Ken McCann. This is a Discount Storytime production.